I will say too, sometimes like when I go out of state and I'm in these situations where I'm around some of these big tier people who are on the come up, it's like you realize what they kind of, I wouldn't even say what they lack, but some of the things that we have an advantage of over some of these people is like that kind of homegrown vibe where you're kicking it out so much at home that it's like you're so sharp because you've sharpened yourself up to the point where you're really great here. You go out anywhere and can kind of like tackle things. Whereas these people are starting off right there where it's like, I go back to the Pokemon reference. Like you beat the game, but you started in Pallet Town and look all the little shit you had to get to the Indigo Plateau. It's like, I'm nice because I went through all the levels.
Right.
Where you started out here.
Right.
By the time I got out here, I was so honed. It's like, you know.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of BINDLISM, a philosophy to a self-sufficient lifestyle. This episode, Kyle and I interviewed Syracuse native Seth Dollar. Seth is a rapper born in Cuse, brought up in Miami, then came back to Cuse to master his career in the hip-hop world. With heavy influence from G-Unit, Seth's contemporary style truly depicts the life of an entrepreneur on the rise, with very real and relatable insight into his life, track to track, album to album. We truly enjoyed sitting down with him and can't wait to share our conversation. So enough of me talking, let's just get right into it. Here's episode 28 with Seth Dollar. Hope you enjoy.
Thanks for coming on, and we're
Yeah.
interested to hear your story, for real. So if you want to introduce yourself.
Well, yeah, I go by the name Seth Dollar. Been doing this for a little while now, from Syracuse, New York, by the way of Miami, Florida. So, you know, back and forth, but here we are.
Miami. When did you move here?
Well, I was born here and I moved back. I moved to Miami for the first time in the year 2000.
Okay.
So I was down there for a good amount of time and I came back here for high school. Then I've been here since.
Where'd you go to high school?
I went to Nottingham. Well, I went to Miami Northwestern, then I went to Nottingham.
Okay.
So I still have both ID cards, actually.
Okay, cool.
Those are always fun to look back on.
Yeah, I used one of them as a single art for my last project. So,
Oh shit, that's actually really cool.
So we know what you do, but you want to give people a brief overview of what kind of things you're working on right now?
So I'm an artist, so, you know, I rap. I've been rapping maybe since 11. I started writing my own things, and by the age of 14, I started financing my own studio sessions. So, I mean, that just turned into all around creative because, you know, a lot of things weren't at my disposal, so I had to create the opportunity. So whether that be merchandising, whether that be office space, recording studio, radio opportunities, just, you know, all around just been in the mix. So
Did you start off with like a lack of resources? Is that what you're saying?
Up here in Syracuse, there's definitely a lack of resources. How I got studio access when I was 14 in Miami. I used to go to a mixtape shop called Philly in Miami like every weekend. And the guy there, who I'm still close with, his name's Mike, they were opening up a music recording studio at the time. And, you know, he gave me like a discounted rate. You know, I couldn't get it for free, regardless of my age, but I made it happen that way. I think when I came up here, it was really hard to find a recording studio that was affordable. This was like in 2009, so I kind of Googled like Syracuse recording studios, and I found this guy named Character CK, and he had a professional recording studio in his mother's basement.
Oh, wow.
So it was cool because I'm like,
You got the plug.
you're looking online and you see the address and stuff. When you actually get there, it's like, it's somebody's house. But, you know, up here, like living in Syracuse and making a decision not to move back to Miami to further my career and try to make it happen where I'm at, definitely have to spool in a lot of resources.
Yeah. So was that recording studio that you found, was that a better price point for you?
It was a better price.
Something like Subcat or something like that?
Yeah, it was a better price point because it was a better price point with the same quality.
Oh, okay.
Like just growing, like being that I was in a situation when I started recording, it was somebody who cared about the way my stuff sounded based on me having to pay for it. I always look for, okay, like, regardless of what type of studio is in there, who's the engineer, like who's gonna, like what's his vibe, because I determine how my records are coming out. And I'm 14, 15 at the time thinking like this. So,
damn.
You know.
I don't think people realize how much like economics goes into the whole art side of things. You being a creative, you have to pull in you're using a lot of the different resources here.
Yeah.
And there's business side to it. And there's a lot more to it than just making the music.
Yeah, definitely is. That's the simple part. That's like if you are a professional basketball player, like playing basketball is what you do, but there's so many other different logistics that you have to deal with. Maybe like the music is 51%.
Yeah, true.
Sometimes 49.
What avenues did you take to learn the business side of what you're doing to help you actually facilitate getting stuff done?
Well,
I mean, you started off real early.
So it goes back to just paying attention to things that I liked. I mean, I guess even before music, I was just a fan of great things, like popular things at that. Like, I was huge on like G-Unit to the point where I found a way to be a part of the street team in like 2008.
That was in Florida?
Yeah, this was when I was in Miami at the time. You couldn't find that up here. I got lucky. But I think just being appreciative of great things led me to, like, once I like figured I wanted to do music, how can I make that great? So,
what would you consider greatness?
Just when you see I think the way something's marketed, the way something's shown to you, the way it's presented, like when you're young, like back in the 90s when like Barney and Friends was like the big thing. I think just based on the color palettes they chose, the way they chose to market the product, the way the placement of what time it came on during in the morning, like came on like at 7 maybe, and that's when the average kid from our time and our age was getting up. So you kind of start to catch like like when you look at it now, it's like I see why that worked. Like I see why they made like $400 million off of that. Like
True.
They did it right.
Very memorable.
A lot of it's like some subliminal messaging too.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to get at is like in terms of the logistics behind, whether that's getting into a studio or financing any equipment you need or any of that, like how are you learning these things? Who are you learning from to actually know, this is like what I should be doing?
Yeah, and that goes
like the game.
That does go back to what I was saying. Just being a big fan of the things that I like, but wanting to know how they made it work, how they made it happen.
So being curious.
Yeah, being curious. There's a lot of things around my household growing up, like GQ magazines, different books, and music, and CDs, tapes, and records. So, like somebody's gonna end up fumbling around with it, and then it happened to be me. So just learning, reading the credits and CDs, mixed by this person, executive producer, Mark. Like I was on the internet early. Like I was the kid, like back in 02, 03, would go to the library to definitely use the computer when we didn't have it at the house at the time. So, I mean, I learned how to, I had my first email at 10 years old, so I used to already know how to email, things like that. Just learn, like doing the research, looking at the back of tapes and seeing, the names, created by, Jim Henson or somebody. And then you start to research him, look through his catalog, 50 Cent. That was big when I was in 5th grade. Start to, all right, where's Santa Monica, Interscope Records? You start to really look at all
Piece
this
things
stuff.
together.
to the point where, because like these people, it's not like these people are imaginary, like they're real somewhere in the world where you can find it. And I think just doing that research and seeking out people in my area that were similar to like, you know, get to what I was trying to get to.
A lot of that sounds like a shift in perspective.
Yeah.
Like you're seeing it through the eyes of the creator itself as opposed to the consumer.
Yeah, at a very young age at that.
And since you knew what you wanted to do early on, is being creative, making music, you kind of saw it through that lens.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of foresight to do that, though. At a young age, you know.
I feel like moving to Miami at such a young age, having to adapt. Like coming from like Syracuse and you're like young, you don't think about where you are and how big the world is.
Right.
True.
Until you get out there. So that happened to me very, very early.
So has this always just been like, it just feels right from day one that you're just like, yo, this is 100% what I want. Yeah.
Something's up with something, but I'll get to it.
Yeah.
How did you know?
Getting what I wanted constantly.
So like being your own boss.
Nah, not even. Because there are people who get what they want every day and they just go through life simple. And then maybe it's like when I think of a boss, I think of somebody who's in control. It's like an organization or somebody who's put in a position to make decisions.
That's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah. And that maybe later on in my life where I'm at now, maybe, boss. But back then it was just, I want something, I gotta get it. Whether it be, I remember, this is hilarious too. I remember I was maybe third grade. We lived in Miami. I used to thrift by myself. So
hustling.
By 9 years old, I knew the bus route and the jitney route. So I used to go to school in North Miami and have to go back home to like kind of mid-South Miami. So I would have to take a 62 or a 9. And I'd take the 9 or I could get the 62 or a jitney to home. So it was like two different connections.
Where was this at?
Miami.
Miami. Oh.
There was I used to go to these thrift shops and stuff, like comic book stores or whatever when I was young, because it would be on the route home. And there was like Ninja Turtles 3. It was on tape for $10, and back then I was a lot. Nobody wanted to try to get it for me. Like I don't know why. So, but one day I was walking and I found $10, and I was
like on the street.
On the street, and I went home. I'm like, I found this. This is mine. Take me. I want to go get that. And that just happened a lot. Like I'd be at the library a lot. I get it, like getting extra hours on the computer. I might be able to help with the puppeteering show that day. Like I might want to go check out some books or something. I won't wait for anybody. I just figure out a way to do it. And I think whether this is weird or not, I feel like that comes from playing like, I think when you're young, you have games like Pokemon Red or Pokemon Blue or Yellow. And like the kid in the game, he leaves the house at 10. He's just roaming around throughout the whole game.
Yeah.
So it's like similarly, you're playing the game, but you want to roam around too, like, you know.
I don't think people typically look at life that way.
Yeah.
It's like a game from that early on.
Yeah.
That's interesting perspective.
So I used to do that. I'd be gone all day, and nobody'd be worried because I was like, back then too, I was in like advanced placement, gifted, like classes, all that. So my mother didn't worry too much about me because she already knew who I was. She knew that I knew who I was.
Right.
She didn't have to worry about me getting in too much trouble early on. So
like early on, you got good grades and didn't have to worry too much about like whole school system and stuff.
I remember I went to North Miami Elementary, I think. North Miami Elementary. And the normal fourth graders would be in the school part. But across the street, there's like the smaller building where like the advanced placement kids would be. And I would be like over there. I remember that.
Oh, wow.
So like it was like different.
At the same time, were you doing art, creating music?
No, music didn't come to 03. This was like 2001, 2000.
How old were you at the time?
Like 8 or 9, going 8, between 8 and 9. Because 2003, I was 10.
Okay. So what led you to actually starting music? Like, were you like writing poetry? Like, what was
The catalyst.
Yeah, like what was like the first thing you did that actually in terms of your own music that you were like, all right, I want to keep doing this?
5th grade, G-Unit came out. The shoes, the clothes, like everything. And I think that they market it to like younger kids. Like when I think back on it,
Even though they're swearing in all their songs. And whatnot.
But yeah, if you look at a lot of the clothing ads, they had kids modeling. If you think about it, so you want to be one of those guys in the posters. I wrote a verse. Like I had my first album I ever bought was Beg for Mercy. Bought it with my own money. That was the first G-Unit album. But hearing those songs, I try to rewrite them and like leave verse. Like it was a crew of us in school. Like we were like we would call ourselves like different G-Unit members' names. But we would have a notebook in which we each write our own like verse, like similar, similar to how they had their songs. But we used to think that everybody shared a rap book, so you have to, all right, your verse is right here. I'm gonna write my verse right here. That's not how it goes. But yeah, that's when I started. That was 11. When we moved back to Miami, like late 2004, early 2005. Was about 6 going into 7th grade. In Miami, they have different programs and classes that require you to use like a microphone. Not like this, but like a cheap little standalone mic. I took one home and figured out Audacity. And I would download instrumentals off LimeWire and record my own songs on my like desktop computer at home. To the point where my bedroom became like the neighborhood studio. Like we'd all be in the back writing rhymes, recording on Audacity with the beat. Didn't know much about mixing or anything, but we'd try to make sure it's quiet and clear. So that was my first like I was like an engineer back then. But
that's sick. Yeah. That's so sick.
Did any of the friends that you started recording and stuff with at a young age still do music now?
They do now, but it seemed like they just started all over again. Like, I was the one who kept going. And now they see like, oh, that works. Like he's had some success. Like so.
Has it always been hip hop?
It started off as strictly rap. But now it's like way broader because I've experienced more. So I understand like, all right, I opened for Earl Sweatshirt a few years ago.
Oh wow.
And a lot of my set was rap. Like hard bars, but you see how slow it goes towards the middle of your set when it's just going rapping.
Right.
So I realized I'm like, all right, we gotta like level this up a little bit, like figure out some records that we can do the segue based on the live show. So my music advanced as I started performing more.
So if you were to describe your genre of music or your style, what would you describe it as?
Contemporary rap and R&B. And contemporary for like meaning like the time period that I put out music, that's the mood of which like we were working in, and no album will sound the same. So they're like time capsules for where we are as a company, myself, everybody around me. So definitely that's where like
time capsules as in
if you look at the year that project was released, the imagery, the visuals, the overall like body, like it reflects that time.
Okay.
And that's where contemporary comes from.
Oh, okay.
So what? Are you trying to reflect like, like now, or are you trying to reflect a time before now?
Always in the now.
Okay.
Always in the now.
So you're trying to reflect like what the style is of today, and then
not even in that realm, but being very in tune with what's going on. Some almost even to the point where maybe you put out music and it's ahead of people.
Oh shit!
Okay. Based on like where I'm at in my life at that moment, I might put out a record, and until you take that route or maybe get to that point in your life, you can use that as like, oh, I see what this is now. That's why an album like. I don't even want to make album comparisons, but that's why certain artists, you're able to like, you might have like say an album like a Marvin Gaye album. What's Going On. That's been out for years. But maybe you just might not be discovering it based on what's going on in our country, what's going on around the world. And you listen to it and it's like, this is where he was at in his life at this moment. Mind you, he's in his 20s at the time, so you can definitely, like as you get older and starting to want to hear different music, you kind of go back and see, like, nothing's new under the sun.
Right. It's crazy how much culture has an impact on our music and vice versa. Like, you look at, let's say, Kanye West, he puts out an album and it's just like totally out of this world, like something totally different that no one else is doing.
I would consider him a contemporary rap artist.
Contemporary?
Yeah, contemporary. I would consider him contemporary based on that.
Yeah.
Every album he has is a marker.
And it's something that he doesn't try to replicate someone else's album. It's totally his own. And his own, like, experience in the culture that he's in at this moment in time. And
that's the only way you can consider something, not just saying he's classic, but that's the only way you consider something like classic or like really good or something, because they're on point with what they were trying to be on point with, like to a T. And that's what makes it, like, you know.
That's what art is. Music is at its core, is like self-expression. Yeah. So whatever they're going through in their own perspective experience, they're able to, like, almost take that right out of their soul and put it into music form.
Yeah.
That's very. I'm understanding now this whole, like, contemporary idea. Like, just you made the Kanye reference, and I'm thinking of, like, Life of Pablo. That album is so out of left field from what he's done, and it makes so much sense based on, like, just what's been going on around his sphere of people.
And he got ahead of it based on getting it out at that moment. And maybe now you understand it, but that's where he was at. Like, he's on the cusp of it, not waiting. Well, in 2019, 2020, I'll put it out because maybe they'll be ready.
That's how you become a figurehead, though, because you're the leading person in that movement, so to speak.
Think of even somebody like Drake, for instance. He kind of was at the cusp of when things were changing, but understood in order to be innovative, who am I waiting for to make something to inspire me?
Yeah,
true.
Maybe I gotta make something like Take Care in order. It's like, I see where things are going. I see where I'm at in my life, and it's like, who's gonna make this for me to make this? I have to be the one to do it. To even taking a sacrifice of, like, they might not understand it now, but wait 5, 6, 7 years down the line, that's what everybody's gonna be doing.
When you're going through this process, do you look at the culture first, or do you look within first?
Look, always where I'm at. Always where I'm at.
And then try to make it mold into the culture, or just it's all you? Authenticity.
I try to see where the culture can mold into me. If that makes any sense. Because that's like putting a lot of stuff in you. So I was like, what do I want in me to reflect? Or what's in me now to reflect?
True, because a lot of it's subconscious.
Yeah, the balance of it.
If you're self-expressing, it's stuff that's coming from culture that's, like, deeply embedded in who you are, and you're bringing that out, and you might not even realize that it's because of cultural influence. Yeah. But it is. You're constantly getting external, like, stimulus, so to speak.
I'm curious about, just in terms of, you know, your day to day with music. What are you doing on day to day? Whether it's like writing, recording.
Yeah, like your daily routine.
Yeah.
Watching.
Observing.
Yeah. Because I don't write. I think when I started really rapping and writing constantly, I was actually in, like, a juvenile detention at one point. So every day it was like my own mental exercise to keep me out of a slump. I would try to write 1 to 3 songs a day. I had a notebook, almost like assignments. New beat. I had a stack of beats, like 70 CDs that I burned off. And I like, every day I listened through the beats, and whatever I found I liked, I'd have to write it. And I would try to finish the songs throughout the day. But nowadays, it all just kind of like throughout my day or something, because I'm way busier than I was now. I mean, I'm way busier now than I was then. I kind of just, I might think of something in my head or hear somebody say a line or through conversation, might get like an idea and I'll write it down like on my pad on my phone. And then when I'm like kind of spread out, in which I'm just in my own realm, I look through my notes and kind of piece together songs. So
it's like a stream of consciousness.
Yeah, that I kind of, because I always think like, you know, everything I want to say is already in my head. It's just the part of locating it. So I kind of do like, I don't like plan my writing anymore, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It just, it comes together.
It's almost like meditative in a sense.
Yeah, in a sense. Unless I really trying to get something out, then I'll go sit and write and put something together if I'm on the clock. But other than that, I kind of just...
But typically during those times where you're like trying to force it, it's not as good as when you just have that like spark of insight. Just get it down right on your notes.
You just need to be in that right energy, in that right moment where the verse is going to come like that. What you took to the studio might not even be what you record. Like you might put that verse down and it's like, nah, that's not it. Then you go back to the one that you already knew you had, but you probably didn't think worked, and that's the one that even worked. So
can you feel it? Do you know it when it happens?
It's almost like when it happens when you're like recording it. If it's dull, then it's gonna be dull. Like you can't polish a turd. If you're recording and you're flowing, the breath, like the breathing is right. It's sharp. You might do it in one take. That's the verse. That's the one you should stick with. That's the one that came out effortless.
It's like intuitive.
Going to the studio isn't a hard, grueling process unless you're a person who doesn't really know what they truly want to do in the studio. So it's kind of like you're in there and it feels like work. But it's just like this. Like if we were recording right in here, like whatever, like it should be flowing in there. Like, yeah.
Sounds like there's a lot of self-awareness that needs to be
very
developed.
much self-awareness. Yeah. Like somebody like I mentioned Drake again. Like he put out some records last night that I heard, and I think what makes his stuff really, I think what makes that stuff good enough where people really like it, they have a trick. The production is really good. The mixing is on par, but the guy really has flow. Like the words and stuff, it's not congested. When you're listening to everything is in place. It's like a well-oiled machine.
It's like a puzzle. It's just like so perfectly.
So I think music is vibrations. Like if you think about it, like bass, treble, like it's all vibrations, and we operate on vibrations if you truly think about it. Like
from a physics standpoint.
Yeah, even right now as I'm talking, or you're talking, you feel the vibrations as you're speaking. So when you have music that's mixed and tuned well, the vibration is soothing. So it's almost like a science that I feel like 40 has when they mix those records. And that's why I think truly it's worked this whole time, because it's an energy that you get when you listen to those records. Like you might hear somebody's song and it sounds good, but it doesn't feel good.
Yes.
I find that even because you're bringing up this topic of our podcast itself, with like vibrations, like when we're having deep conversation, do you ever have that like feeling, or I don't know what it is, but like when you're in a deep conversation, like it's going well. Do you ever have that feeling?
Yeah, I think internally, if you could describe the feeling, it's it's like this. Like
a resonance, or like a
what's the
white noise kind of thing?
I guess so. But it just, you feel like, you know what I'm trying to say, like there's a feeling you get when you're having that conversation.
It's hard to describe. You just have to have it and experience it.
It's almost like if you could feel the energy coming off of someone else, and it's just like it's like a circle, like continuous circle. Like if
it's
like that. You know what I mean? That thing.
This reminds me.
It feels like that.
I feel like
if you haven't been.
It's so much like Max Kinnon's like idea of resonance animality, and just like so we interviewed someone else, and he like developed this idea called resonance animality, and it's literally a circle, and like we all like resonate around the circle.
And even my logo, like it's all interconnected.
Yeah, it literally makes so much sense, like in terms of like vibrations interacting with each other, because we all emit energy just by talking.
Yeah, you do.
You know?
whether you're in tune with it or want to believe it or not, you do.
Yeah,
You really do.
And also from an energy standpoint, it's almost like when you're speaking out and letting out quote unquote vibrations, like that energy that's being transferred to that other person, there's no wasted energy from that transference.
So you get all of it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of alluding to the whole like circle idea.
Yeah. And
Everything's self-contained.
Mm-hmm.
so why I'm curious why would a song that sounds good but doesn't feel good, like what do you think that artist is doing differently than say someone who like has like a smash hit?
Because I'm a writer too, I'll say this: you're not saying anything. Words are our most powerful thing. Like, say for instance this, I'll do like this. Purple giraffe. You both just thought of a purple giraffe. And just like that, I infiltrated your mind with a word.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not saying much to make me think about how that looks for you, it's not connecting. Like I hear it sound good in the car, but
Yeah.
So you think the word choice
yeah,
is most important?
because as you're listening to it, you're visualizing it. So if I can't visualize anything when I'm listening to it, I'm
Above all else, above the music, like the bass line.
Those are tricks of the trade, but like the most important thing is the word.
I agree with that.
Or at
'Cause,
least,
like, anyone can have a good beat or find a producer who can throw down like a sick track, but if you aren't actually saying something worth listening to,
in the way it's pieced together.
yeah,
The way like you're flowing it just goes back to what I was just saying. Like the way you're
it's all
saying
gonna be
it,
cohesive.
the spaces in between your words to give people time to visualize it. Like something I do because a good friend of mine, he produced the first record on my first commercial mixtape. He's Korean and he's from Korea. Like that's his first language, first nationality. He didn't speak much English, but another friend of mine, his name is Michael Choi. He was like, "Yo, like you must be a good guy because Huck don't talk to a lot of people, let alone work with a lot of people." So me and Huck would just have our own moments. His name's Huck Lee. We'd have our own moments, and he just was like, "I like your music." And it's like in his own way of speaking English. Like, "I like your music because it gives me time to digest what you're saying because you space it out enough." For somebody like me, English isn't my first language. So I can understand your stuff because of the way you're flowing and the way you're spacing it. It gives me a chance to actually, you're on point with how I'm receiving it.
Gives you time to like think and be thoughtful, mindful.
Do you feel that your style, because you space what you're saying,
I do that all the
do you
time
think
now
that
because of him,
works
too.
like across the board with like a lot of people who may not have that English first language?
Not only that, but just people in general. It gives them like time to like. You kind of learn the song easier when you like hear it like that, and I just see that when I see that through my numbers. I see that through what people love about my music, and it's always those songs where I just kind of take the time to space it out and kind of deliver it a certain way.
So I guess compared to the first songs you ever recorded till now, would you say that you've gotten better at that? So
my first I had, let's see, I had 3 mixtapes come out before I actually started doing it professionally.
okay.
And those were literally mixtapes, different people's beats, 32 bars, 40 bars, 70 bars. And it was just that. I would attempt to make certain songs that have verses and stuff, but my style was really like hardcore rap. Like I came up off G-Unit, so I mean that was where I kind of learned how to write, learned how to rap. Lloyd Banks was my favorite artist at the time. Still one of my favorites. He's a great guy. He's a great guy.
Like the fierce energy you're talking about?
The fact that you can spit,
Yeah.
you can really rap, was like, that was it.
I feel
It's
like
very-
it's still like a good skill to have though.
Yeah.
On
Yeah.
baseline,
Yeah.
it's talent.
Yeah.
Because that'll catch someone's eye, even if if you're just like, oh, yo, spit me a bar real quick, and you can
Yeah.
just, like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. So that was like my whole style early on. But like I said, as I started, college, you start meeting different people. You start hearing things you never heard before, seeing how people receive music. You're like, all right, this is my new demographic. I got to figure out, how can I do this the way I want to do it.
Mm.
So,
Still going back to the self-awareness as well. It's a progression.
yeah.
It's not just like something, I'm going to sit down for the next year and
You can't
create
sit
this
down for the
masterpiece.
next year anymore.
Mhm.
Can't do that. If you are, you got to be doing something to keep their attention.
So the thing is, like,
Yeah, it's so
You
true.
can't sit down. Like, I wish, believe it or not, though, before you get to your topic, my first project came out 2014. We released it for Apple Music when Apple Music became a thing in 2015. And then I dropped my second project 2017. Now my third is 2019. So I still try to make records like that, and I don't let the internet or even my fans force me to put out music. But I still find a way. I'm finding a way to still be relevant when I'm not putting out music. So I'm learning that. But I'm still that traditional album artist.
how do you stay relevant as a music artist without putting out music?
Different endeavors. Your portfolio.
Mhm.
So I have children. What we have on my company, Children of the Summer, is a lifestyle and media company that we founded in 2013 in Syracuse. We have acts on our roster in the music division. Trig the Ruler, he's a very predominant artist in the area that gets a lot of numbers, has great music. I've been making music with him since 2010, 2011.
Okay.
Reek Boy, he's a producer and DJ that went to JD. He James will do it at high school. I've known him since 8th grade. He's been in the studio with us since. He's developed to become somebody very predominant in our area as well. Only 21 years old.
Damn.
He started when he was my age. I picked him up like he was like 13 or 14 because I'm like, I remember when I was in this position looking for it. So I want to be able to continue to have the opportunity open for other people.
And give back to the community.
I kind of stay relevant through the artists that we have, our merchandising, my catalog itself, because I have 2 projects out and singles here and there, but like I said, I haven't put out a full body of work since September 2017. And we have that things I'm involved in, whether it be endorsements I have, people who my company has influenced, things like this interview.
Yeah, true.
Back catalog, when people meet me for the first time and research and become fans, going to events, definitely, you got to keep even if you're not recording, you can still go to events and meet new people. Like last week, I went to the Depop event and met people like Heron Preston. I met the owner of Depop, a lot of different influencers, models, and people like that. Now they're new fans that are able to go, when they go home, all right, so who is that guy? And they get to see my music videos. They get to see or listen to interviews, listen to the music, look at the content we have on Instagram or Twitter or whatever, and just become fans of the thing that we do all over again. Like, so.
It sounds like fundamentally a lot of it is networking.
Yeah,
That's the most important part.
definitely.
It's interesting to hear your perspective as a music artist, because the stuff that we're doing with BOHO HOBO, there's a lot of carryover with it. Even though we're not producing music, we're still in the game with like this creative community, and we're all kind of doing the same kind of functions day in and day out.
Right. It's just how do you capture the attention of everyone, well, as many people as possible, and then hold it for as long as possible, I feel.
Yeah.
It's hard.
And you never know when your big hit makes it. Like you just have output anywhere that you can find, and then if that so happens to like resonate with the audience and rise of this fame or whatever it is, then that's what it is. You never really know though when it's gonna hit.
Yeah.
Do you see this as, are you ever thinking just short term, or are you thinking long term a lot of the time?
Well, it has to be long term because at 14, I figured this is what I wanted to do. And I like, even, you know, at the age of 21, when I put my first project, I was like a deadline almost, like, yo, by then you should be here because the people that put you on were already in that position.
Mm-hmm.
So
Like high standard, well, maybe not high standard, but creating
Yeah,
that goal for yourself.
I always I was a Muppet fan before all of this shit. A Muppet and Ninja Turtle classic comics fan, like the Mirage Studios.
Well, would you say those are influences in your music?
Because they had platforms that benefited everybody. Like Jim Henson's platform produced several Muppeteers. Like even somebody like Frank Oz, who went on to do stuff for Star Wars, directed several different movies and stuff. Like it's just like, you know, family oriented. Like even the Ninja Turtles, that was a family thing. Mm-hmm. And growing up the way I grew up, we always were like with family. Even like the block kids, we all were a family. Like 60 of us outside. Yeah. Like, for real. Yeah. We all be in the I'm thinking Miami days. So I learned life down there because I had no time to like. I didn't really have time to develop in a way that the average child would. We had to move. So that's why
stability wasn't there as much.
Stability was there, but looking at it from that angle, if you're stable in Syracuse, a small town, you can get anywhere you want to go in 7 to 10 minutes. Yeah. And down there, it's not like that. Not like that at all. And if you want to learn or you want to get out there, you have to learn and get out there. Simple enough. Like up here, you can kind of learn from your internet or things like that, like in school and stuff. Down there, so many different ways to learn. And as a kid, you already learn how to move around. So
true.
You want to get to where your friends are, you got to learn how to get over there. Like you're not going to it's too big of a city to get dropped off every day. So you get left behind if you're not moving like that.
That's an interesting idea. So, like, we talk about this a lot, and people who, I'm trying to phrase this correctly, people who are looking to go down this path of becoming creative and then moving to LA or Miami or New York City, who are trying to make their big break, it's all from this perspective. You're saying it's like easier to navigate in like a smaller city like Syracuse.
Learn your area one step at a time.
There's pros and cons everywhere, but like if you're starting off local,
that's why I came back here because I'm at Miami. The Miami industry scene of what I do didn't match with what I do. I'm like I'd be bigger up there. That's what brought me back up here because I'm like I could dominate up there because it's not to say it's so small, but I've learned. I know that way around easier. It's like
it's easier to make a name.
I can move around.
There's less people to influence, but you can make a bigger name for yourself because there's less competition or less other influencers.
I'll always learn get big where you're at because when you leave home, your stats will be determined by how big you were at home.
Oh,
anybody checking for how big is he at home?
Right.
I don't want to have it so he's out here making it like he's somebody, but you go home and it's like, who's that?
Right. If you go back to say Syracuse and you're living in LA and all the LA people are like, well, no one in Syracuse knows you exist.
And Syracuse is becoming something.
I can feel it.
And it just starts back, like, you know, I'll say, like, Drew Shoup, they opened up better out here with, like, $500. If I could be totally wrong, but I heard that story. Like, I think that's published, but just hearing that and knowing how big the skate shop was in its time, it's like, yo, we could keep doing that. You just got to keep figuring it out. Like, there's industry here. Like, our college campus is pretty big. You got to use that there's a lot of different people who went to school here that have become something in the industry now that we're a part of. And it's like, did you connect with that person? Did you meet them while they're here? Like Michael Jordan's daughter was here at one point. I've met her and been at different parties where she's been at. It's just different, mad different people who've been here, like J. Cole, like so many different artists who've performed here. Like
there's connections.
Yeah,
really
a lot of connections.
It's underground though, because what
I
it
like
seems,
it like that.
Yeah.
What it seems like to me is we have a tight culture of people that really fuck with each other.
Yeah.
But we just didn't have that accessibility, and now with the internet,
there wasn't a place to
allowing
go.
us to spread our message of Syracuse. Yeah. But because we're such a more poor city, it's hard to get your voice heard. Or you moved in the city or whatever, it's harder to navigate because you're so used to the Syracuse.
Well, there's less noise here,
True.
which makes it easier to find the right people. And I also feel like somewhere like New York City, there's so many big name
Same
artists.
with how
so you
Miami
get
was for me.
suppressed down because you're not a somebody yet. Whereas here, there's a lot more I would say mid tier to lower. People are still trying to make a name, so that we're all we all see that value and want to rise to help each other.
And everyone's
out.
talented here.
Yeah.
I will say too, sometimes when I go out of state and I'm in these situations where I'm around some of these big tier people who are on the come up just like me, you realize what they kind of, I won't even say what they lack, but some of the things that we have an advantage of over some of these people is that kind of homegrown vibe where you're kicking it out so much at home that it's you're so sharp because you've sharpened yourself up to the point where you're really great here. Mm-hmm. You go out anywhere and can kind of tackle things. Whereas these people are starting off right there where it's I go back to the Pokemon reference. You beat the game, but you started in Pallet Town and look all the little shit you had to get to the Indigo Plateau. It's I'm nice because I went through all the levels.
Right.
Where you started out here.
Right.
By the time I got out here, I was so honed. It's
Yeah.
It's you were able to build your building blocks, your foundation better because you had less distractions as you would if you went to a bigger city. I didn't start off with 10,000 followers. I started off with 100. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you started.
So by the time I got to 10,000, I know those 10,000 people. Whereas maybe you don't know those 10,000 people, so you probably can't sell tickets or something.
Right.
That's so true. Damn.
It's perspective. That's huge perspective.
That's why I keep referencing that game because I actually started back playing it. You got
Pokemon?
I made one thing I do, I battle everybody. No stone unturned.
Yeah.
So all my Pokemon, by the time I'm done, they're level 50 already. They're already about level 30, and I'm only going on my 4th badge. So
what's your go-to starter Pokemon?
Well, it's yellow, so Pikachu.
Oh, okay.
But I actually just build I go off a team of everybody. My team has everything. Similar to even what I do with my brand, there's electric, there's psychic moves, grass moves, fire moves, water moves, strength moves, flying, we got every. Right now, because I haven't got I'm about to get Snorlax once I get through Lavender Town being lazy. But right now, my team is the 3 starters. They're already on their 2nd stage. Pikachu's level 31 now. Pidgeotto and Butterfree, kind of Ash's team. But I do it my own. I usually trade in Butterfree for Snorlax because in the anime he lets Butterfree go. I keep my Butterfree, but I just put it in storage. And to supplement the psychic move, I get Lapras.
Oh shit!
Because he used Lapras too, so I give Lapras 2 psychic moves and 2 water moves.
What's your favorite Pokemon? It could be any generation.
I don't go past 151, believe it or not. When I grow out of it, I grow out of it. I'm no, I don't go past. Sometimes I play gold or silver.
Now it's totally off the chain. There's so many Pokemon.
It's over 1,000. Gotta be over 1,000.
At the end of the day, 1st gen and 2nd gen is
that was it.
Play.
Up to Ruby.
Barely
Game
Crystal
over.
for me. So I played Crystal, but I used to have Silver. I played that all the time.
Yeah.
My favorite one. Combination of Mew and Mewtwo, probably. Maybe Mew. Just because it was they introduced it as a game glitch.
Yep.
So they didn't even know what to do with Mew. They just had him. So,
It was a game glitch.
Yeah, you had to glitch the game to get Mew.
I've been watching a lot of different glitches where you can even battle Professor Oak. I watched that last episode. I'm like, I don't feel like glitching none of my games.
Yeah.
I like to watch it, but I'm like, it's too much to.
Yeah, you literally have to like break your game.
Yeah.
Do you remember that one glitch? That one glitch tool. I forget what it's called. Like a shark.
Oh, Game Shark.
Game Shark. Yeah. You ever do that?
Damn. I could too. I know how to do it. It's not hard at all. I just don't feel like it. Like I could have got Mew. You could get Mew in Cerulean City, but I'm like, I don't want to fuck it up. And then like something happened and this shit just the cartridge itself is broke. Like
I think the one that I always used to do. It was in the original games. It's called like it's like it's a character, but it has no name. It's just like a question mark. And you get it in Cinnabar Island. You go up and down the side of.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's the missing. It's not even missing
no or something.
But not only that, but when you do that, you can battle Oak. And he has
so
missing no. He got mad different little things, and they're all like a level 100.
Once you catch it, like you can't save the game because it'll corrupt your entire like thing. And to get to Cinnabar Island, that's like almost to the end of the game. So
that's the second
you would
to
just
last
straight
stop.
up like fuck up everything.
That sucks. Jesus.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
It's
Not for
fun to
one
do like
Pokemon.
once, I would say.
It's like if you got an extra cartridge that you just glitching away.
It's so funny. I really enjoy your Pokemon reference though, because Kyle always references
World of Warcraft.
He references that in terms of just us as creatives kind of growing, and like you kind of start out with nothing in order to kind of rise to where you want to be, you have to interact and not leave any stone unturned, you know?
Like leveling up, gaining that experience.
That's how even like I think subconsciously I move around like that. Just off of that. Like last weekend I was at that event. I just was talking to different people, not knowing who I was talking to till I go back and check. And it's like, oh, you model for Fenty? Damn, I just got like now we know each other. We have a connection. Yeah. Oh, you're a part of. Oh, now we have a connection. Like
That's
different. Just talking to people.
I'm thinking of how the future is gonna be, and with VR on the come up, they could potentially like program life in a way where it's almost like you're getting experience points and you can see your stats and everything.
But at the same time, it's a good and a bad. I think of one world currency and how they're already introducing it, and that could be problematic in the future. Just for people who might not have the education, where it's like, as you're offering these things, you should also be offering the education for free. True. Because you're offering these services for free, like, let's say, Cash App, Venmo, and stuff. That's one world currency. Like, if we're being honest. Literally. So, like,
And that's the thing, like, with more technology comes more impact on people to just brainlessly consume, as opposed to like us, for instance, who are using social media as a tool to improve our standard of living. It's so easy to get caught up in being lost in the technology where it ends up consuming you.
Yeah.
And you're just ending up being just like mentally depressed, anxietal, and all this other stuff.
And that's literally where we go back into the knowing who you are. So
self-awareness.
Yeah.
There's some people like, I could be off my phone and literally playing my Game Boy. It doesn't require Wi-Fi or anything. I'm just zoned, And that's the time I use for that. I might be reading or something. Like, my phone is for what my phone is for. Now, I need my phone. Like, no, I have a phone because I need to use it for these things. But
the phone is dependent on you,
as
opposed to you being dependent on the phone.
Very dependent on you because you have to pay for that. I could stop paying for it. And what? Like,
good point.
So I'm gonna kind of change the topic for a second, because we didn't really talk about this, but I'm curious, like, what is your impression of the hip hop / rap community in Syracuse? Where do you see it as it is right now, and where do you think it's going?
Well, I have maybe a year or two ago, I had a conversation with an artist that he has a pretty good platform in our city, but he had got an opportunity to open up for 2 predominant acts. You know, I called him to congratulate him on it, and I'm like, you know, this doesn't happen too often because everybody, a good amount. Well, it just seems as though in our city, there's not much collaboration in which there's not much industry here because everybody wants to be the first person to get to the point of putting on or shedding light on the city. That nobody's everybody's in the dark.
Yeah.
Because everybody wants to I can't speak for the other guys, but it just seems as though we're in the dark because everybody singularly wants to be the first to get to the light.
So instead of working together, everyone's trying to like leverage.
Everybody works together in a sense of, hey, like I see what you're doing, I support it. But that's like maybe the furthest it goes. I know within my circle of people and stuff, we all collaborate and stuff, but I feel like that's because we know each other, we've been working together for a while, we respect what each other does. But maybe, I don't know. I think it's starting to get better now, but that's how I see it right now because, you know, I speak to a lot of guys who make music here, and I know a lot of people who make, do things here. We sit, we chat. I welcome them to the office all the time. Mm-hmm. But it seems as though as much as that happens, everybody just still want to do their own thing. So it's not much.
It seems like there's this front, and this is like you said, I can't speak for everyone here.
Yeah.
But it seems like everyone's trying to like be someone, so they're giving off this like fake, like, oh, I'm your friend kind of thing. When it should be just like, we're all like, let's literally be friends.
Let me check out one of his shows one day. Oh, he got a song, I'm gonna stream it. If I like it, I'll buy it and post it so like, oh, I see you working.
Right.
That's as much as it could be.
As opposed to like, let's go hang out and have dinner together.
That doesn't even have to happen. Just the fact that you acknowledge that they're working and support it like that.
Yeah.
So it's just like, okay, it's a safe, not even to say safe environment, but more so just like it's all competitive. It's like, like almost like the NBA. We all cool at the end of the season, but when it's court time, it's court time. So, at the end of the game, I'll still be like, that was a good shot or something like that. But no, that doesn't really happen here. It's like it's almost like it looks bad to be from Syracuse. But it's like, at one point, it used to look bad to be from Toronto. Now, it's not. I feel like Syracuse is similar to that in a way. We're so close. It's like, as much great things that happen, it's like Screwface here. As much good things happen here, it's like still under the radar because it's like there's like no industry for here because everything is separated. You have like, it's like too many chiefs, so little Indian almost. Everybody's trying to do something for the sake of doing something. So it's like, there's really no light on the people who need to have light in order to shed it back on the people, in a sense of like, there's like maybe, I see it all the time. So many different people have clothing brands or merchandise, or everybody's doing something of the same thing when they don't have to. I feel like you can really figure out what it is for you instead of like, oh, so-and-so just started a brand, we could start a brand. Yeah, you can. But do you have to do exactly what he's doing or she's doing?
Yeah,
like,
figure out like what's very unique to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So this kind of brings me to a question I was going to ask, and because I think there's a reason why what we do stands out amongst other people who say like have just a clothing brand because we've kind of diversified. What would you say in terms of your music is like differentiating you and making other people see like, oh, he's not just rapping to rap. He's like doing this.
It's really my life, and you can relate to it from a local standpoint and an international standpoint, because everywhere there's a small town or city that has these problems, or or has that type of girl that I might speak about on my record, or has that type of bond between a crew or a group of people that is like, yo, that's how we were when we were in school. That's how we are now, or something of that nature, where it's like it's relatable. Where
talking about human issues.
Yeah, that real life stuff, not rapping and having the jewelry or the grills and stuff. Because don't get me wrong, I have a jewelry collection and I have things that I like to buy, but it's not. That's for me. I don't have to wear every necklace I own every day. Or, things like that. I can just come out the house and be me. And I think people, there's a lot of people who aren't going on the same path that I'm going on. They're not going the same route, but they can still appreciate what I'm doing because I'm somebody who's working towards something.
I like that.
Constantly.
So having a vision and trying to.
You could be working at UPS and having a vision of going from unloading the truck to becoming a driver, and understanding that, that's from one end to another, and that's a come up. Similarly, somebody like me, I'm on a come up to get, my brand more solidified, more known in different regions and markets. The transition from having to work a job to just being who I am and solely being able to provide off of being me. And
that's the end goal. That really is the end goal.
That's why my music is considered contemporary, because it's like the theme is what I just said, but each album is a new chapter, a new level. And when it's all said and done, you could put them all together and maybe spend a whole week and listen to my catalog and seeing where, like, how over time my voice changes. Over time I find new flows. I'm speaking about a different girl, or I finally stopped talking about different girls and now I'm focusing on one person maybe. Or you just see how I got from A to B at the end of it all. I'm not done yet, but if you could piece together my catalog, you see where we at.
It's like a documentary.
Almost.
Being able to see your progression through the years.
That's cool. I feel like we didn't really hit on this, but who in your life, family, whatever, childhood has been like a huge influence in, helping you get to where you are?
So G Unit.
That's
like
people.
outside.
Eventually, I met them, but I didn't know them.
I'm talking more like personal, whether that's a friend, a family.
There's different levels of people because it's contemporary. So
true.
There's people who, knock on wood, they pass away. I don't have them anymore. So it's different levels of it. When I first started music, subconsciously, not knowing years later this would be the focal point of everything I do, my grandfather played keys for Casey and the Sunshine Band. So we would get babysat by him, or, not even babysat. He wanted to see his grandkids.
Yeah.
So that's what we'd be. He definitely wasn't a babysitter. I remember my grandfather. He wasn't a babysitting type. But he, I think he noticed my love for Barney. But I think as an adult, it's like, maybe he don't like it's less about that, but more about I see him move into the music. So let me put him onto this piano over here. But I know before he'd be like, your mom on the way, but before she'd get there, he'd always have me practicing the piano, at the end of my visits. So I remember that, and I always keep that with me. I have to make sure I'm doing something musically. It's embedded in me because he'd make sure I'm practicing. So now I remember, wherever I'm at, I'm like, oh yeah, the music stuff, I gotta do something. And this is at 5 or 6 maybe. I can't even remember. But it was my grandfather kicked it off with my father too, because I'd be at my father's house. My father's been influential, whether it be positive or negative, because we had negative times, and we've had positive times, and we definitely had negative times. But he was a collector of different musics, little books, magazines. And I think between me and my brother on my father's side, my brother gravitated more towards sports, but me and him were just as good. But I gravitated towards more of my father collected Marvel and DC comics. like different things. I gravitated more towards that end over time, and my brother gravitated more towards the sports and stuff over time. So as I got older, it's just like I would end up, inheriting or taking on the magazines and stuff he'd have around the house to the point where he started giving me my own subscriptions. I would eventually start taking the CDs that I saw and listening to them on my own and things like that. I think subconsciously, just having these things around as we were growing up enabled me to already know what GQ was. Like my mother used to always call me GQ when I was younger because I had little collections of bow ties and I would want to get dressed. I had like the different raincoats and boots and like bucket hats and stuff I wear when I was younger just around the house because that's what I like to do. I would watch these different shows where people would be so dressed up, so I'd do it myself in the house, or I'd have toys that had raincoats and stuff, and I'd want to mimic that. So yeah, definitely my dad, my grandfather, I think my mother for just moving a lot all the time. You have to learn how to adapt whether you want to or not. A lot of times I didn't because I'm like, what? Like for one, like what is this? What's going on and why is it going on? But you just have to keep going. If I didn't move when I was 7 and have to move back and forth like that, I wouldn't be able to move around how I am now, like, or be comfortable with, like, going out to New York and coming right back. But being chill, no matter where I'm at, it's like, we're all on this. No matter where I'm at, I'm on the planet. I didn't go that far.
Yeah, it's true.
So, definitely those three. My mentor, my longest standing mentor, Rel Moody, he's one of America's top young speakers, been featured in Forbes and Inc. Mag 30 under 30 at least twice. Just seeing how he took his career from being an independent, ground zero, no true backing. He started a company in college that grossed over $1 million, back to back, things like that. Yeah. And I met him when he was 26, when I was 16. We're 10 years apart. So now that I'm older and see how he's developed, I'm like, yo, I'm at that age now. I watched somebody get to that end goal, buy the house in Jamesville, has 2 kids. Like, now I'm at the point where, all right, I can use all the things, like, from how I saw them come up now. Like, he went from, he used to have, like, this green hoop ride, and they had just moved, like, in the Jewish community, like, where I live in that area. And I just remember, like, his come up, like, his door handle was broke on one end, windshield wipers fucked up. And him and his now wife, they kept pushing. Now they got 2 kids, 2 whips. He got the dream Lexus, and he bought his wife a Buick truck, paid off all of their student loans, both of them, him and his wife. Like, so it's like, but I remember when he was coming up, he's from Brooklyn. He moved out here. The apartment wasn't the best. But it's like, yeah, I keep pushing. And did it on his own with his own company, not like I'm gonna sign up for something. Right. I had to make it happen. So that person definitely still in my life. There's so many different people. I mean, but those 4 people definitely kicked it off for me. Yeah.
Since we're on childhood, this is something that struck me. Now this could get pretty personal, so you don't have to share it. But you said something about going through juvie.
Yeah, juvenile. Yeah.
I thought that was interesting. Are you open to talking about that?
Yeah, I don't talk about it much because it never gets there. But as I'm getting more comfortable with my fans and my listeners and people who support me, this is information that they need to know. Not even in the sense of like, I have to tell you, not you, but I have to tell like a listener because I don't, but it maybe helps them understand the music better. But in my own time, because this happened, believe it or not, 11 years ago, 2008, I'm 25. I'll be 26 next Sunday. So before this interview, by the time this interview comes out, I'll still be 25. But I think like there's positives and negatives with moving around without understanding. So as I'm living in Miami, you know, you have to kind of restructure everything. Like everything up here is more gentle, friendly. You know, you go to school and it's not aggressive. It's very aggressive in school. In these type of environments. Like I remember when I first moved to Miami and I went to school, I was first grade, and I was trying to play tag with somebody. Because that's what I'm used to when you go to recess. It was not like that.
Messing around.
And these kids, not only that, they're a little more advanced. Because they may be, you know, they're in an environment where they don't have time to move, like, you know, they don't have time
Advance
to go
in,
slow.
like schooling.
Advance in the way they interact. You got 7-year-olds that really know what the hell they're talking
They've been
about.
on the streets and
They know what they're talking
nice.
about.
Yeah.
They know exactly what they're talking about. They know what things mean. And they're operating just like that. They have no other way but to be real about things. So I just learned that early on. It's like, you know, people weren't like friendly. Got into different fights and stuff. It just started to turn me into something that I didn't have to be, but my environment, you know?
While still being academically proficient.
Because that's who I was, no matter how many fights or no matter how many things I got into. That's who I was regardless. I'm still rushing to go home to try and catch Mega Man and T-Warrior when it come on. I'm still rushing home to get on the message board because I don't care about what y'all do. I can't wait to get home. Like, y'all don't even know how to use a computer the way I do. I'm rushing to go duel somebody at the shop or something, or like go to pick up that book I knew I was gonna get by the time I saved up $5. But just over time, the environments that we were in were aggressive, so you have to become aggressive to survive and maintain. And a good, very, very, very good friend of mine, he was, I think we're like 12. He was already a blood, so he taught me to shake and the how to throw all that up. But his father kind of controlled the neighborhood. And I'm not talking about like a block or two, but they surround the whole square footage. Anything moving in and out of that was his dad's. So I was around that. I was around a lot of different things. I financed my career at the age of 14 by washing cars. I knew where the money was at on the strip that we lived near. So I go over there and try and figure out how I can be a part of it, but they knew I was talented. So they didn't let me get involved that way. These are mindful people, by the way. Yeah. So instead of like enabling me to be a part of those activities, I was a part of the groove by running to the store, washing the cars, running errands and stuff to earn my studio money by the end of the week. So I ended up in juvie. Just everything wasn't perfect. I was getting in a lot of trouble, but it just got to a point where I think some bullets from a gun I didn't have a gun at the time, but it was some bullets left over in the room somewhere. My mother's husband at the time passed away, rest in peace. He found a few of them, and I was sharing the room with my little brother, so that wasn't safe. They're looking for the gun. I sold it at that point, but there's still like leftover shit under my bed. So they kind of got me out of the house because my mother put me into the situation. So it wasn't like I got caught or anything.
Right.
I caught by
that
her.
was like the last straw kind of
for thing. Just get me back right. You know, it's more so for before you go any further, I'll try to put you in here to kind of just take a break. Like things moving too fast. I didn't understand it at the time, but I'm glad I did go through that because I wouldn't be a skilled writer or artist I am today because all I had time to do was read and write. And I got my grades up in that situation too. I came back to school like in Miami. I made like the honor roll, and people are like, he hasn't been here 3 months. How you get an honor roll? Because I'm at the other shit. They got the school on the campus. I'm excelling and all that easy shit. Like I'm finishing my work to get on the computer. That's very easy work, but
dang, you like take advantage of every opportunity, every experience that you have.
That was a great experience. There was a girl who I think she was like 16. in there. She was a dancer. And I'm thinking, at that point, where she was really cute too. I wonder how she's doing. That was like 10 years ago, 11 years ago. But she, I just learned from a lot of different kids. A lot of the kids that were at the program were there court mandated. Like, I've stolen things, I've robbed, like I've shot at people, I've sold drugs, I danced. I thought when she said dance, like she did like ballet or something. I learned later on that's not what that means. So I used to hang out with her at the program because I'm like, oh, I'll do music, and you did like I'm not thinking she's illegally dancing. Like in that retrospect, because she was had to be 16 or 17. But I remember a lot of them used to run away. Some of them got found and brought back. A lot of them didn't. She never came back. It was one night they planned an escape, and she was like, "You don't want to come?" I'm like, "Nah, I got like 4 weeks left. I got it." So she escaped, and she just looked. She was like, "Yo, I hope I see you again." I still remember that. They left out the back, but
Do you know her name? Like,
can't remember. I just remember she was like your complexion with the bob, had like red hair. She was very mature. I just think back on like we was really kids. Like,
yeah, damn.
I can't remember her name. I know how she looked if I ever saw her. She probably looked just about the same, but can't remember.
What would you say the biggest thing you learned from those experiences? That specific.
Stay who you are. They used to drug test the kids, including myself, and they drug tested me, and the people who drug tested me looked shocked because my system was clean. Like nothing. And they looked at each other like, what? And I'm like, what? I was like, keep doing whatever you're doing. This is like, we never had a clean test. So, yeah. I used to pride my raps off of not smoking and drinking. But it wasn't who I was. So, nah, it's not me. I was, like I said, big 50 Cent fan. 50 didn't smoke or drink. So that was like the bottom. And we have Formula 50 vitamin water, so he's selling waters and shit to the kids, books and stuff. You look back at what he sold, it was all universal. Like, and I could buy his biography, I could buy his CD, I could buy his water, I could buy whatever he put out because it's age appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
So.
50 Cent, man.
He's smart guy.
All I think about, so we had this.
He had a PS2 game, like a PSP game. I could buy those. I can consume.
We had this like an old jukebox at our high school, and they'd always bring it out for like our Spirit Week or whatever. Yeah. And on there they have Candy Shop, and we would play that shit in the in the fucking lunchroom until until the teachers realize that like what it's about. But I'm like,
they just hear 50 Cent, so they bobbing around. Somebody did their homework that night and watched the music video and was like, I bulged my way into interning for them and being on the street team. They put the phone number to their office on the back of a mixtape. So I just called that number one day. There was like, for copies or bookings, call 212-359-3000. That was the number. So I dialed it one day, and somebody was like, G on the records, how may I help you? I hung up. I'm like, oh, I got their number now. I would call like every day just thinking of just kind of talking to whoever would answer. I even heard 50 Cent in the background one day. But I just kept saying, I want to be involved, want to be involved, want to be involved. And then one day the lady was like, all right, kid, what's your address? I'll send you stuff to post up. I sent the address. They sent me posters to hang up in my area. And I called another time. I'm like, well, is there anybody else down here to help me? And they put me in touch with one of their representatives, DJ Young C, who hosted my first 2 unofficial mixtapes.
Nice. Under
the Shadyville moniker. But yeah, I kind of forced my way into that by just calling them all the time when I lived down there.
That's like it's just like a true reflection of who you are with your music. It's just like that, like not giving up and just fucking getting it.
Yeah, because it's like,
I love that.
It's all there, like, you know.
Yeah.
It's all there.
Did you know anyone else that was trying to do that kind of shit, or were you just kind of like a lone wolf, at least growing up?
You come across those guys, but they'll be rivals. gross. And not in a bad way either. But
more like in a competition type way.
Yeah, were these like
Gary,
were these ideas of doing all this coming like manufactured from yourself, or are you getting influence?
Just from what I liked and what I enjoyed.
Wow.
I always noticed, like, no matter what I watched, no matter what I enjoyed, I was always similar to the main character. So that kind of always inspired me to push to be that one.
The main character?
Yeah.
Wow.
Or even in Ninja Turtles, it's like Leonardo. He's the leader.
So you think, like, what would Leonardo do?
Even just like, how do these people handle these situations or whatever,
Interesting.
What's the like coolest show you've ever done?
I think the Earl show. Believe it or not, that was my first real performance. I had like 2 prior, but they weren't really. My first show ever was at Cornell University, so it wasn't in Syracuse. My second show was a rescue mission benefit concert. I had a set, so it wasn't really official. It was official, though. Shout out to Maria who got that for me. It was official, but it wasn't like
a venue.
This wasn't the one.
Right.
So Earl Sweatshirt was at Westcott Theater. I was one of the openers. I was the main opener, if you compare the sets. I think Earl's set, my set, Remy Banks, and then the guys who opened before me. Because that was my first show in Cuse. If you know Syracuse culture, that's like prime for any artist to do Westcott. Let them have it sold out, front to back, side to side.
Yeah,
that's dope.
So many people got to see you for the first time.
Yeah, Drew threw the opportunity my way. Shout out to Drew. But that was like my favorite one because it was the first time I ever performed in Syracuse in a situation in which it was like set up for me to win. Like,
yeah, it's like don't fuck up and you're there.
Yeah, and I was able to sell tickets just based on the fact that we had a built-in audience. So yeah, there was no rehearsals. I didn't even have a haircut. Didn't have time. I really forgot. Just you in the zone. Like, man, we doing this tonight. Didn't have a DJ until the last minute, but I made one of the best decisions. And asking Greek Boy, who now almost solely strives off of DJing, he got thrown into a situation. I want him to be my hype man to kind of figure out, okay, how can we market you in the future? But then last minute, I'm like, oh, nobody has a DJ for us? This was like, yo, Reek, you got a DJ tonight. That's his first time ever.
Damn.
He just got thrown into it. Like, yo, you got the turntable? Yeah. Hey.
Like, we need you.
And it worked perfectly. We didn't rehearse our set. We knew the songs. That's what we've been wanting to do for the longest. So we just went up there, mic check. I came back. I had the prototype of this jacket then, but it was a large. It was a little small on me. This is a 2X right here. But I threw on the jacket and 30 minutes. They gave us a whole half hour. We killed it. There was a mosh pit during my set.
Fuck yeah.
The kids, the crowd control was impeccable because you got to think I was in the school of G Unit. 50 Cent was an excellent performer. So all that, like, I had the crowd interaction because I've watched different tour tapes and stuff. So crowd control was great. I split the crowd up to the left side, right side. Did half hour. My voice was gone. Me and Earl Sweatshirt sat on his tour bus the next day for like 4 hours talking about life. Because he's a year younger than me. He'll be 25 this year. Just the impact of it. Like just when you go back into the city after the fact. And it's like, when like people are just waiting to see that footage.
Yeah.
They don't know what's going on. They're like, oh, his shit probably was trash. Or whatever, but they see that video and they see that picture and it's like, whoa.
Yeah, is there somewhere we can see anything from that? Yeah, I definitely.
I could pull it up, but I have my laptop. Right?
Damn, that's surreal. I'd say the biggest takeaway that I got from that is like you can never be fully prepared for any of this.
And that's
You
why I
just
just
gotta go.
like look at and when you go back to playing the game. Like when you play those games, you kind of just roaming around, and then you realize, oh, Oaks Night is a thing. And then you start walking out, and he just catches that Pikachu and throws it to you. Now you're battling. You're like you just gone. Just gone.
Even if like you're going in the grass, you never know when a Pokemon's gonna pop up. Yeah. Also, we're here more like we went through your whole childhood, and we're here more in the present now.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to give like a little shout out to your single that you just dropped.
Well, it's not really a single, but it's I just dropped a freestyle called Summer Vacation. It's less about me having a vacation, but more about, the things we're planning to do this summer between myself, Trig the Ruler, Reek Boy, everybody involved at Children of the Summer. We try to do something every summer in a big way, but we're coming at all ends, all forces. So it's summer vacation more so to the competition, and that was like the first signal of it, like by me putting out something. Everybody on my roster has something consistently out right now. Trig the Ruler has a new video and song out. Reek Boy has a mix right now out, nearing 1,000 streams organically. I think my song within the first week, I checked yesterday, it was nearing like 500 plays, and that's just off the strength of putting it out. It just shows me that, people are still interested in what I'm doing. So I can't take it for granted. I got to stay consistent. That's why I'm here right now doing an interview, like, keeping myself out there, keeping
relevant or whatever.
Information like this. I have a new project that I've been working on for a little while. It didn't have a title. It has a title now. I'm looking to drop it late summer, end of the summer, kind of cap it off and
Is it an album?
into the fall. Yep, 14 new songs. I'm thinking
nice.
13 or 14.
You haven't already created?
No, I'm in the studio Monday. We're finishing Trig the Ruler's project, and I'm doing a little bit for mine. So I'm back in the studio like every day now. So we got some things that'll be coming out. I'll send it to you guys before it drop to get some vibes before I put it out. But
we make a video too for you.
Yeah, dude, that would be sick. I was just thinking the same thing. If we just came in and did a little promo,
that'd be nice.
That's something we want to kind of start adding.
If you guys are around Monday morning, 9 to 12, I'm a subcat. I'm finishing up over there.
I'm gonna be working.
Yeah.
But
one of these days, I'm always. We record downstairs too, as you know. So anytime.
You do subcat and.
Well, we have like a mastering engineer, Stephen Brown. He's a good guy. He mixes a lot of the records we do. So we make it internally and then kind of export over there to kind of make sure, based on the room acoustics, it sound good. You get to use all the tools they got on their computers for mixing and stuff. So he's like the final person that kind of cleans the record up once, somebody like Leonardo Marino, who mixes and engineers a lot of my music. You met Leo.
Yeah. Down in co-works.
Yeah, so he engineers for me. So yeah, man.
It's a collective effort.
Yeah, there's many of us. Like Children of the Summer isn't just me. There's myself, Trig the Ruler, Reek Boy, but all the people behind the scenes that help make it go. Like, Darius Ford at Prime Agency. Like that's been my best friend since 05. Spray Kid. The people at Hazelwood, like Prolific Kid, he does a lot of photography for me. Brandon Williams, Billion Buzz, he does a lot of graphic work and things like that. And Daria Jones, she's like business administration, marketing administration overseer. Jason Allers is our business agent. We have Arel Moody. I know I'm missing people. So there's so many of us. But like we're like, as the artists, we're in the forefront, but there's so many different people that make this work. Like Chloe Martin produces videos for me. She's great. Just got her master's. I already said Reek and Trig a lot. Just anybody that I even talk to for advice or like have conversations with about this music. So everybody knows who they are. Shout out to the whole COS and our extended family, our extended branches and trees, so many different people that help make this work.
Yeah, and that's something like to think about too. It's not just yourself.
Yeah,
You might be the main character of the show,
yeah,
but to be that main character, there's hundreds of other people that backing you.
yeah,
So like to always just be mindful of that,
yeah,
to not get too high on your own supply.
yeah. I agree. I think just always like I always was inspired by platforms. Like I said, like the things I used to watch and be a part of or enjoy. Always was centered around like a main character, but a platform that the main character created for everybody.
Right.
So that was always my goal. Like we didn't have things in Syracuse, and Children of the Summer became that thing that we can springboard everything off of. So
Yeah, it's a community, but you're just the personality of the community.
yeah, I'm like the vessel for it, if that makes any sense. So any and everything could get through me. Like if I'm speaking, I'm not only speaking for myself, I'm speaking for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So like, what I represent, and it goes back to being contemporary, has to reflect everybody vibe at that time.
At the end of the day, you're giving out a
Soundtrack,
message.
yeah.
And it's like any organization. I know you were talking about it before. You didn't want it to be an organization, but like if you look at politicians or like what we're doing, or I don't know, a hospital, there's always like that one person figurehead that is talking about the message of the company or organization, and then everyone else is like supporting that mission or message or whatever it is.
Yeah. And it's important to know that and also be mindful of that. Because there's people who spending time away from their families or, putting in a lot of work for your vision. Got to be respectful of that, mindful, appreciative of it.
Right. So that brings us to the next question is, what would you say your vision or mission is in this whole like experience? Do you ever think in the future like that?
Yeah, there's a lot of different things that I just think about what I can do for Syracuse as a platform, like, which is why I collaborate with the people I collaborate with, because they're thinking the same way I'm thinking. Like, you guys, the good people at We Rise Above the Streets, that's something that benefits everybody in our city. And
the homeless awareness.
Yeah, not only that, but he started off homeless.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that was in his mind, I want a platform that can benefit everybody, because I was in that position. I know how that feels. And just to see how he got to where he got, and, from A to B, just humble. Like, he went from sitting at that table to providing that table. So I love what, similarly, our industry, as far as lifestyle and entertainment, kind of lacks for the people like us in this city. So I try to have, I keep this office space in order for people to have a place to come if they need information. Like, you're always welcome to hit our company phone or somebody answer, have you come down here. We sit on the roof and talk about what you want to try to do, because when I was coming up, we had to figure it out. We had to find those people to the point we had to create it ourselves. So you can't be blessed if you're not blessing other people. That's being a blessing, or having a blessing is becoming a blessing.
So what's your way of being a blessing for other people?
Keeping things open, transparent, providing information. Like, I don't need to be involved with what you're doing just to have a conversation with you.
Right.
Like, maybe you appreciate how I move and what I do with my company and stuff, and you're just trying to figure yourself out. I don't have to take a piece of that or feel like I need to be involved or start business or do
to just help someone.
Yeah, just get taught. That's just almost the same as, which way is Erie Boulevard?
Right.
I treat it like that.
So just trying to be a mentor for
because people were mentors to me. And like I said, like, I met my mentor at 26. I'll be 26 next week. So there's a lot of different kids who come to me now, like, yo, we want to try to use the roof. Yo, like, how did you do this? Or we want to come by and try and film and be a part of a session or something. Yeah, come on. Because how will we have industry here if me in the position I'm in, because I have a lot of different things going on, how do we continue to be an industry if somebody like me is closing it off?
Right.
Because when I'm gone or we end up moving the operation elsewhere, the kids who are coming up under us now have learned through me. They inherited the connections that I left behind, and they're continuously pushing it forward. You know, somebody like Drew Shoup, like, he did a lot in the communities and a lot of different things where it's like he didn't close it out for nobody. Like, it was all transparent and open, and that's why a lot of things, it was balanced when they opened up better. It was a place where people like me and people like you guys can meet each other at.
True.
And that's why we end up moving across the street right here, because like we could continue that and slowly start taking over the blocks down here.
And that was during a time when we didn't have social media.
Yep, Instagram, Apple Music wasn't a thing yet. Like, you had to kind of go somewhere to figure it out.
Yeah.
Or learn.
In person meetups. That's where it was
We're
at.
trying to bring that. We're trying to maintain that, and so to speak, because I've been, like, my business agent. He sells real estate. I mean, he sells insurance as well to a lot of different companies out here, like the Landmark Theater, or different people who own these buildings. Like, I have a relationship with the guy who owns our whole building. I've learned that he's buying out this entire block. Not only this building, but everything surrounding it, except the YMCA and the parking garage. So a lot of shit is about to change. A lot of shit is about to change around here, where it's like co-works downstairs, you know, the booth that they're knocking that wall down and making more space. So it's like, you know, yeah, he has all this shit now. But it's good to be in conversation with him and like these, just not only him, but my business agent, Jason. It's good to be in conversation with them and be like, all right, how can I start? Where can I start to buy a piece of property or start renting to own a piece of property?
Yeah.
So that we have the right zoning checked off and all that checked off to do something like how Better was, or open up a installation retail space for children of the summer, in a regard of which it's a place where people can go, but also, you know, get our merchandise or whatever we have to offer. But it's for everybody. You can come in there and play the game, or as a kid, 16 or young, between 14 or 16, even as early as 11, maybe get a job, because I know I was smart enough to figure things out when I was younger, but I couldn't get a job legally because of my age. So maybe I'm sweeping the floor at the mixtape shop or something. But, you know,
yeah, it's accessibility to resources.
Yeah.
And if you try to cut off that accessibility and leave people in the dark, it just makes the whole system collapse.
Yeah, nobody's left in the dark at Chosen.
Because at the end of the day, business is a community of people.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to cut people out, then you don't have the means to be able to create anymore. If
you lose it, then who else had it? Nobody. That's why I try to make sure everything I got is kind of not spread out, but like-minded people have stake in it, in a sense of everybody's on the same page and everybody knows what's going on.
Yeah.
So if an opportunity doesn't fit me, I know where to transfer it. So it stays within the circle. Like, that might not work for me, but him over here, he does that. Or, you're trying to get into podcasting. These guys over here do that very well. Oh, merchandise. Like, it's a network. It's a network. So. Oh, I didn't even shout to Anthony Obas, too. He's a part of Children of the Summer. He's 21. He just wrote this book.
Oh, wow.
It's shifting your music into a career. He wrote about me in it. So it's like, I suggest, like, artists coming up, grab this book. It's like, I think on Amazon, $8. And it's like a note, like, kind of like a guide that you could write in and use.
Have you read through it already?
I mean, I had it before it came out.
Oh, okay.
But, yeah, he's been working on it for a while, so I knew about the book and knew what was going to be in it for months on end. So, and I mean, shifting your creativity as a career, because you can take things out of that book and even apply it to what you're doing.
Yeah.
I just had the book release in Brooklyn last week.
Oh shit!
We're gonna have another one. He's a senior at SU going into this year. So we're gonna have a Syracuse release around September, around COS annual time this year.
This is kind of more of like a trivial question, but I just thought it would be like interesting to hear what you say. If you could pick any artist, doesn't have to even be a rapper, just any artist to collaborate with, maybe make like a track with, who would it be, and why?
So top 3.
There's so many different people, but I don't want to produce a generic answer. I just have to think about who like is like similar to me as far as piecing together like a record, similar to how I piece together records, or the way I work on records. That's not so contemporary, but somebody who like has proven that what they do is here to stay. Whether it be writing, whether it be having a guest vocal, or not, I think Sade, even if it's just her giving input to a song, but just to actually spend a whole day in the studio, like just the things I'll learn from that, or even if she like guided production, or like even helped me write, or just came up with concepts or something, just to see how she worked and recorded. Because I watched the documentary on how they made her last album. They make music kind of just like me and my guys. It's not forced. You just kind of go in and you work. You know, you treat it like a day to day, not like, all right, I'm in here to make a hit today.
Right.
Oh, routine.
I like
Just
for
getting
the
that
guy
train
to
of thought.
like a pace of a song, or even a couple songs, because her pacing her album is always on point as far as like being contemporary. That's why she could drop every 10 years and it blow up. Or even Adele, because Adele's not too older than me. Yeah, like there's a girl that I was seeing recently. I'm not seeing her no more. She's the same age as Adele, but I just keep that in mind. I'm like, yo, it's probably how it'd feel if I chilled with Adele. But I like Adele works similar to how I work in the studio. I've watched a lot of her stuff, like in studio stuff. I can't forget about Adele. And she makes music like me in a sense of not rushing. Like when it's time, I'm gonna put it out. Yeah, it'd be nice for her to even guide like her, Sade, either one of them.
Was just get
because I could rap. But to bring somebody in from the other side and actually put together a record where it's not my verses and their hook, but actually make a song. Yeah, those two.
That's awesome.
All right, last question. What does it mean to be human?
To be human is to be empathetic. This is what it is. I have some unhuman moments, and I had somebody check me last night, like 2 a.m. They had called me and was like, yo, I'm not sitting well with this text. And this is why. But the fact that we had a conversation about it, just like shit like that, it's like, you know, people have feelings. You can't operate like they don't. They do. And I think to be empathetic is a reminder of being human.
Fuck yeah. This is your chance to tell the people where they can find all your shit. Anything from Instagram, website.
One-stop shop, childrenofthesummer.com, because you can find not only me, but everybody who's a part of the process. And, you know, through that, you find even more. So, you know, that's where you can get our merchandising, find out where our next show is, the latest in songs, visual, imagery. We're starting our blog back, so that's going to be really nice this summer, going in. I used to blog a lot, just personal stuff, but Instagram content, that place. But, yeah, childrenofthesummer.com. You can find me on Instagram at Peso Blanqui. That's PESSO BLANCI. And, yeah, man, yeah, one-stop shop. I do it for the squad, COS.
Any show coming up soon that you want to?
Well,
On the radar,
we're
right?
co-sponsoring an event. It's like an annual thing. We did it last year in Brooklyn. It's called the Meetup. It'll be July 21st at the Living Gallery in Brooklyn. I may or may not perform at it. I'm still deciding, but it'll still be good to pop up. And of course, we have COS Annual this year. I'm trying to do something big for that this year. We have a big collaborator we'll be working on with it this year. We're partnering up with a really great company who cares about the community. Not only the community, but our whole Central New York. We have a deal on the table with those guys. I'm not mentioning yet, but that'd be something big to come to around the New York State Fair time. So if you're in town, definitely check us out. Late August, early September, COS Annual.
Cool.
Oh yeah.
Glad to have you.
Yeah, man.
Word.
That was pretty good. Glad we could finally make it happen.
Thanks again to everyone who's been listening. Seeing consistent listenership is so humbling, and we truly appreciate your support. Thanks again to Seth for coming on to the show and sharing your story. I will always think of life as a game of Pokemon now. Make sure to give Seth some support. Follow him at Peso Blanqui and at Children of the Summer on Instagram. He has some really awesome stuff, and you guys should really just check out everything that he's doing, because he is making a lot of positive noise out there and could use your support. Make sure to also give his new freestyle, Summer Vacation, a listen. It's now streaming on Apple Music and Spotify. If you're new to the show, hit subscribe. That way you'll be notified when we post new episodes. You can find us at BOHO_HOBO_ for Instagram and Twitter, and then BOHO HOBO for YouTube and Facebook. And then our website is bohohobolifestyle.com. There you can find our store, our blog, and just about everything else that you could think of in terms of multimedia. We're doing it, and it's all hosted there. Thanks again to everyone who's been listening, and we will see you next time on BINDLISM, a philosophy to a self-sufficient lifestyle.